Believe it or not, Kashin Koji and Boruto, as well as Amato and Kawaki, are made out to have the same dynamic, but at the same time they're very different. You see, throughout the story, these characters have been using each other for their own personal agenda, even though one character may use the other in a more ethical way than the other. It doesn't really make it right. So in today's video, I want to go over the dynamic between these four characters and how it can affect the story in a positive or negative way for the future, which would potentially lead to Boruto and Kawaki having their final battle. So before we get started, I want to ask if you, yes, you who's watching this video, to go ahead and drop a little like on the video. It does help quite a bit in the YouTube algorithm, and it also allows me to keep making videos like this for you guys. But anyway, as we take a closer look into this situation, both of these relationships involve an older, highly knowledgeable figure essentially shaping the future of a younger character. But of course, the methods and motivations of them doing so are very different. So the truth is, both Kashin Koji and Amato are using either Boruto or Kawaki to change the future in their own image, but they can both damage the future as much as help it in the long run. Since the beginning of Two Blue Vortex, Kashin Koji has been an avid figure in Boruto's life, mainly just being a partner for him on his big journey. Now note, an important part as to how Kashin Koji gained Boruto's trust so quickly is because he found him in a very vulnerable situation. According to what we know right now, Koji found Boruto by himself trying to hide from what it looks like to be hidden stone ninja. Now obviously, if Boruto wanted to, he could have dealt with the situation in a more physical manner, but that would make the situation he's in a bit worse. And not only worse on him, but worse on a hidden leaf. So Boruto was actually very smart here. Remember who got scrutinized because of the Sasuke situation? The hidden leaf. He was out there causing trouble in other villages, trying to kidnap Killer Bee, invading the 5 Kage summit. It all falls on the village where they originated from. So that's why in any normal case, they would have just sent out Anbu to eliminate the rogue shinobi. But because Tsunade was in office, Sasuke got off lightly, of course with Naruto and Sakura advocating for him. But Boruto wouldn't get that luxury. So if he's out here causing trouble, he would have even more people coming after him. Him knowing this, he knew he had to escape the situation, and that's where Koji came in. He provided an escape route out of there. Like I said, in any other situation, I don't know if Boruto is so trusting or quick to hear out a former enemy, and especially without Sasuke's guidance. It seems unlikely for Boruto to take on that route so willingly. So now that Boruto is in Koji's hideout, his plan was working. All he had to do was get Boruto under his wing. One thing that I find very interesting about this is that Kashin Koji and Amato cannot achieve what they want without Boruto and Kawaki. They're the brains behind this relationship, and the two boys are the brawn, so to speak. So in that aspect, both sides need each other to really make an impact. But first, before anything, both Koji and Amato have to sell something to Boruto and Kawaki to make them want to assist in their plans. So look at it like this. Look at this panel right here. Before this panel, Boruto didn't really seem to buy into the fact that Koji could really see into the future. But what he says next changes a lot of things. This is why it's important to know your personnel, because as soon as he told Boruto that he can teach him all the moves and jutsu that he comes to master in the future, especially teach it to him right now, he seems to be a little bit more interested in what he was saying. That's all good and everything, but this next thing is what really gave Boruto the push that he needs to fully buy into what Koji is trying to do. He mentions how he can tell him how to rescue Sasuke from his tree-like state. Now when he says this, it means everything to Boruto, because this is his main goal. Besides finding a way around omnipotence and dealing with Kawaki, this was his main goal at the time. So if you was to propose an idea on how to make his goal a reality, you got Boruto's 100% cooperation for the foreseeable future. So now whatever Koji wishes to do, or most of what he wishes to do, Boruto would be more or less on board with it, because he knows in the long run, he might be able to save Sasuke in the process. Now Amato has done the same thing with Kawaki, but I'll admit, it might be slightly easier to convince Kawaki because he just doesn't care about anything else but his one goal. At least Boruto showed some restriction. He showed that even though he is fully aligned with Kashin Koji, if something goes against his morality, he wouldn't do it. Like allowing Lord Kobu to be killed, especially having a comrade be the one to do it and live with that guilt for the rest of their life. There's way more examples too, but for right now, I think that would be a perfect example of Koji and Boruto's relationship right now. But like I said, it's kind of different with Amato and Kawaki. Actually, their binding goes as far back as part 1. And like I said, it was very simple for Amato to win Kawaki over. Amato especially can't achieve anything without Kawaki, so it's imperative that he keeps Kawaki on a thread. And it really mirrors exactly what happened between Kashin Koji and Boruto. I just mentioned that Koji first found Boruto in a very vulnerable situation. And in this situation, it made it very hard for Boruto to deny Koji's assistance, making it more likely for them to form an alliance. The same thing happened between Amato and Kawaki, because we see back in chapter 65, Naruto was going to die. Momoshiki just launched like one of the biggest Rasengan I have ever seen at Naruto, and Kawaki couldn't do anything to help him. So in this moment, what he wanted the most was power. He wanted to be able to protect his world, even if it meant becoming what he despised the most. This was Kawaki's vulnerable situation. It was then Amato granted him what he wanted. And although he was reluctant at first, he came to realize that he needed this power to achieve his one and only goal. It was easy from there for Amato, because now, Kawaki recognizes Amato to be someone who understands the anatomy of his complex body that is considered a scientific ninja tool. Not even the scientists of Konoha could make out what his body was, but Amato was different. He knew his body, and he knew Kawaki as a person. Amato needed Kawaki to yearn for this power in order for him to achieve his own goal. He preyed upon that goal of his, just like how Koji emphasized to Boruto that he could find out how to save Sasuke if he followed his instruction. So we see the way Koji and Amato made these two buy in was exactly the same, just using different tactics to do it. Now let's get into the most important thing. How are they using these two to change the future, or influence the flow of time in their favor? Now obviously, we see how Koji is using Boruto. He's fully implementing him into the plan to save the planet, constantly sending him into the battlefield to either fight or communicate with very important personnel. So at this point, we gotta imagine that everything that Kashin Koji made Boruto do, he already planned through. So of course he knew that Code would invade Konoha in this exact moment. He then sent Boruto to Konoha to deal with him and the Claw Grimes, as well as him going to Konoha the second time so he could make contact with Shikamaru and gain his trust. It was all a part of his plan, but the cold truth is that he had to put Boruto in great danger in order to pull it off. Like, of course Koji knew that there would be a scenario where Mitsuki would attack and try to eliminate Boruto, and he also knew of the high possibility that he would be taken in by Konoha for questioning. But all of this was necessary to advance and get better futures. And in this situation specifically, it was to get Shikamaru to side with them, and obviously become a singularity of fate, which eventually led him going to Ada and deducing the fact that Koji was heavily involved in all of this. But of course, even though Boruto was put in danger by Koji, he knew that Boruto was not in any real danger of dying, or the possibility of death was extremely low. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent him on these dangerous outings. So here's the thing, does that make it right? Does that justify Koji putting Boruto in harm's way to sway the future in his favor? That topic is subjective, but that's how Koji chose to use Boruto. Now, when we look at Amato and Kawaki, that case is a little different. Amato is using Kawaki to sway the future, but it's much more selfish than Koji's cause. Although we didn't see Amato's plan fully planned out yet, from their most recent interaction, we can kind of see how this alliance is going to play out. Mostly due to Kawaki's own naivety. He's given full control to Amato, full control over his body, and whether he can achieve his goal or not. I'm not even being hyperbolic when I say this. Amato holds Kawaki's reason for living in his hand. He holds so much power over Kawaki, and he just let it happen. So now it's not really a voluntary alliance. They're both kinda obliged to deal with one another. So just like Boruto and Koji need each other, Kawaki and Amato also need each other now. It's just a different dynamic, but it's still the same concept. At first we see that Amato made Kawaki kidnap Kashinkoji for questioning, but it wasn't only for questioning. Kawaki didn't seem to be concerned about Amato's plan, but he could have doomed everyone because of this. And he wouldn't even have known because he just doesn't show any concern with anything that doesn't have to do with Naruto. Like, what if because of this, Amato stole prescience from Kashinkoji, which would of course hinder their ability to beat the Shinju. Kawaki said that he will go along with anything as long as it doesn't get in their way, but at the same time, he's not willing to do the research or be a little skeptical on what's going on that would cause anything bad to happen. So that's where Kawaki messed up. Amato had control over Kawaki before, and at the same time, Kawaki had control over Amato because of his own goal. But now, the balance is off. He's given Amato too much control, because now he's using Kawaki as a puppet. At first, it may just be Kashinkoji, but who knows what it'll be next? Who knows who it'll be next? But oddly enough, Koji is using Boruto in the same way, but to do different things. At the end of the day, it's all to manipulate the timeline in their own favor. So if Amato now has prescience, he can low-key do the same thing that Koji does now. So that creates even more tension between Boruto and Kawaki. Do you see it now? It's like Amato and Kashinkoji are the same person, but they have different goals and different morales. And they have these tools they could use to go create that change and make it a reality. These tools are Boruto and Kawaki. However, they would need the full cooperation of these tools to make them want to create that change, which they already did. Koji gave Boruto hope that he would be able to save Sasuke if he plays it out, and Amato promised Kawaki power so he could protect Naruto by destroying his enemies. So here's a hypothetical situation that would further explain my theory. What if Kashinkoji tells Boruto to do something, but Amato tells Kawaki to not let Boruto do whatever it is that Koji wants him to do? They both strive for the future in their own image. So all Amato has to tell Kawaki is that it will interfere with everything they work towards, something that would threaten Kawaki's goals. At that point, it's even more tension between Boruto and Kawaki, enough tension to make them full out enemies again. It's very possible now. It's possible because the dynamic of these four characters are so alike. It's inevitable they're going to clash very soon. And for Boruto and Kawaki, it could mean more than you could imagine. Maybe this dynamic is what caused them to have their final fight. Imagine it. What if this is all caused by a feud between Amato and Kashinkoji, and as a result of their feud, that will directly cause Boruto and Kawaki's final fight? That's why these two characters cannot be in control of the future. Not at the same time. If there's a possibility that Amato could have access to prescience, or any type of foresight, his influence is big enough to where he could have this effect on the future. Because it's not all about just being able to see into the future. It's all about their desire. Who has the strongest desire out the bunch? Boruto and Kashinkoji, or Amato and Kawaki? Whichever team has the strongest desire mixed with the strongest determination, that side will reign supreme over the other. So in all honesty, Boruto and Kawaki's eventual final battle isn't simply Boruto versus Kawaki. It's the culmination of the two different paths Koji and Amato put them on. Boruto and Kawaki also have different ways they like to do things as well. They both have different paths they would like to take to face the future, or the uncertainty of the future. This is also a big way they could end up clashing as well. Boruto's path is increasingly about accepting uncertainty and choosing his own destiny, and Kawaki's path is about eliminating uncertainty by controlling everything around him. Two very different ideologies that will come to play because of the main differences between Amato and Kashinkoji. And these boys are living embodiments of those differences, because I can assure you, for Amato to see his daughter again, he will eliminate any type of uncertainty within the future. But what does that mean for the future? Let me know in the comment section what you all think. Actually, also let me know how you all think Kashinkoji and Amato are influencing the final battle between Boruto and Kawaki based on their different dynamics. And I guess that's gonna be it for today's video. So, as always, if you all enjoyed this video, and don't mind seeing more like this in the near future, go ahead and drop that like, comment, subscribe, and turn on them post notifications so you know whenever I upload or go live for chapter spoilers. And until next time, I'll see you boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.